Gonna give, sorry to be a few minutes late there, everybody. We're gonna give it another minute or so, and then we'll jump right in. Still see a few more people joining, so one more minute. All right.
And John, we just got a question here on the recordings. They're wondering if they can find one from earlier.
Oh yeah, we'll have those out for you right after the event. So we will get those to you, everybody. Thank you. That's a good question. All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. Looks like we got a good crowd in here, so thank you so much for joining for our third partner session today. But as a recap, my name is John Hardesty. I'm our partnership manager here at Surefire CRM. I'm really excited about the next 30 minutes. We have a great partner in Adwerx joining us on the call, and we're going to be diving in again with the theme of the refi boom recovery on how to use a CRM and an advertising tool together to really maximize your efficiencies and finding new opportunities. But before we dive in, I want to give a quick introduction here. So joining us from Adwerx today is West Hubbard. Wes is the VP of Business Development. Again, great partner, great friend. Wes, thank you so much for joining us.
Thrilled to be here.
Yeah, and also on the Surefire side, another industry veteran, Rick Webster, our Vice President of Client Strategies, joining. Rick's got tons of experience, years of experience in the marketing and advertising world. So Rick, thanks for jumping on too.
Yeah, it's great to be here and welcome everybody for joining, and thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Well, let's get going. Wes, the first thing I'm going to throw to you, I think I've been partner now for a few months, but I know a lot of our customers have asked, talk to me a little bit more about Adwerx, what it can do. So I'd love to give you a few minutes to kind of share a little bit more about Adwerx and the tool.
Yeah, John, happy to. And again, thanks to you and Rick for having me. So I've been at Adwerx a little over 6 years, and our company has, as many do, evolved over time. So I know some people know an Adwerx from 6 years ago, which is different from 3 years ago, which is different to today. And so at our core level, what we are trying to do is bring humanized advertising to salespeople. And at the end of the day, that is loan officers or some of the best salespeople out there that might not want to call themselves that, but they are building relationships all the time with people in their communities, referral networks, and to your point on refinancing with loans they've previously closed. And a lot of companies and loan officers sometimes miss the mark on the value of the database they might have in Surefire, or unfortunately in an Excel document that they should put in Surefire. So what we've done is basically make it really easy. And there's a lot of ways that we do different forms of targeting. But one of the best things we can do is get you, along with the brand and message, sometimes controlled by corporate and compliance, which we work very closely with, in front of your best people and in front of your best audience. So if you have a database of individuals eligible to be refinanced, you want to get a message in front of them, and you got to keep it easy. So our tagline for a long time has been brilliantly simple. We make that very easy. Partnering with Surefire makes it even easier when the two of us work together. And so we're able to get your message in front of them. And one of the key things that we do is we make sure it's you in front of them. If you just run an ad that says need a loan, and let alone there's no corporate branding, but even if there's corporate branding on that for those on the corporate marketing side that are here, you want to make sure your loan officer and if you are the loan officer, your information, your headshot. People really connect with that. And so when you look at a lot of the Adwerx ads that we run, 99.9% of them carry someone's face and name. It's similar to what we're doing here today. We're all on video. People connect with other humans. At the end of the day, everyone has that sad story of not closing a loan with their cousin, sibling, whatever it may be, because they didn't have that connection. Oh, shoot, I forgot you were at that company. I forgot that you had your license. Build that humanized connection. And so what we do, again, at a basic level, is bring, two individual loan officers, sometimes controlled by corporate, ideally, and compliance, but that human side to target your best contacts and whatever list you may have. Partnering with Surefire makes it truly a few minutes to get started.
Awesome. And one idea that I wanted to bring to the table today, and Rick, I'm going to throw this one to you, but Wes just gave a great overview about tackling advertising outside of your CRM. But I want to throw this one about uncovering opportunities and reaching your audience inside the CRM. We have a lot of viewers in here that are customers, some are not. So talk a little bit about what you can use in Surefire to really get in front of your audiences and uncover additional opportunities.
Yeah, so it's super exciting. This is one of those things that it's a better together story, right? So, our platform alongside Adwerx is just, it gives loan officers really that well-rounded coverage of finding additional audience sets and just getting out in front of audience. So, the two platforms the two, technologies used together really do maximize the ability for loan officers and lenders to really get out in front of an audience. And, Surefire really does a great job of helping loan officers get in the database, uncover data that's may have been sitting in there for a while, right? So we've got various tools and various ways to help loan officers get in there, create new lead sources, new audience groups, what we call audience sets. And that really does tee up nicely for Adwerx to take that and take that audience and help, find them on the web and help loan officers get out in front of that audience. So as it relates to our database, our platform, first and foremost, it's important to know that your database can be one of your best and most effective lead drivers, right? Or opportunity driver. Not to mention, it houses what we call first-party data. So if there's marketing folks on this call, especially marketing leaders, you all know how important first-party data is. It's one of the highest quality data sources out there compared to purchasing expensive third-party lists or data sources. So it's really important to know that the data that sits inside your database, especially past clients, that's first party data. That's data gold that you can leverage. And as we go into a purchase market and we move from refi to purchase, it's really going to be important to leverage the data in there. So first party data, think clean data, high quality data is ready for you to get in there and leverage. This is where the theme audience activation comes into the mix. So right inside your database, especially inside Surefire, you have the ability to build and activate additional audience sets through things like tagging, segmentation, and then you can automate that delivery to make sure that it's timely and personalized. So, we've all heard the term database segmentation. So you want to make sure that you get in there, segment, and it's just critical for uncovering new audience sets. And, for example, you can create new lead groups inside these audience sets based on data sets like contact type, loan type, lead source, and there's other tagging classes that you can do inside the database to create these new lead pools that you can start advertising to. So Adwerx, Surefire, it all comes together to help you build out new and expanded additional audience sets. And then lastly, don't forget to nurture those audience sets, right? Especially if they're new leads that just enter the database. We do have a prospecting workflow that'll automatically help you engage with a new lead by kicking off a text message, phone call, email. It's all designed to help give you an edge and a speed to lead. So just going beyond prospecting, we do have workflows that hit all the customer touch points with personalized messaging. And we're seeing it helping loan officers close, 3x more loans per month. So Adwerx and Surefire really work well together in the overall journey and getting out in front of audience.
And I think, Rick, obviously both you and Wes made really big points, and it kind of tees into the relationships. And there's no doubt that when refi volume is dipping, you're going to have to lean into relationships and building those with your, borrowers or prospects, whatever it may be. So I want to dive into a topic here of how can Adwerx and Surefire help marketers build relationships as a retention play? So I'm thinking past borrowers here. I think that's the theme of retention's come up a lot today. So I kind of want to hit this point as it relates to advertising and marketing. So Wes, I'll start with you on this topic. How can Adwerx help you on the retention game?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's two mistakes or myths people have here, which is that the past clients that you've had, one, you don't want to bother them, or you don't want to touch them too much. Like they'll find it irritating. There are a lot of ways, which one I'll go into here, that you can really nicely stay in touch with a cadence, which is what Surefire can help with, or with some digital marketing, which is very passive, what Adwerx can help with, but also that you don't need to. I think that's a really big mistake that a lot of people across a lot of industries make, which is, oh, well, why would I need to stay in front of John? And I did a great job for him on his home purchase. Well, 3, 5, 7 years later, if you haven't been staying in front, and I know there's a good story in this, John might not remember who you were. You might have known what company you worked at, but that's not a personal relationship. They go back to Lending Tree, someone else winds up with your information. You don't get that business. And sometimes you missed that business, and sometimes you don't. But it's really a big myth to not stay in front, especially if people where it's really easy. If you have their phone number or email address, that's all you need to target them with online ads. And that's the other piece, which is when you keep your name and face in front of somebody online, all you're really doing is showing them an ad where they would have seen an ad for a pair of shoes on Amazon. Yes, if you emailed or called me every day from a loan I closed a few years ago, I might get a little frustrated. But if you pop up on ESPN or the New York Times, it's kind of neat. A lot of people actually think that's really great. I had a friend in Japan send me a screenshot of one of my ads that showed up on Instagram. You build that personal connection very, very passively, and helps you stay top of mind. And so you definitely want to stay in front of all these clients. I know sometimes who's eligible for refinance and not, which goes to some of the segmentation John talked about. But no matter the message, stay in front of your database. Use the avenues available in Surefire. And again, really passively, Adwerx can keep you every day if you want, just top of mind. I joke, it's like taking your business card and just putting it on someone's desk every morning. They see you, oh, it's West again. Oh, it's John again. So really good to stay in front of your database that way.
I remember, Wes, when we first started meeting a few months ago, I was amazed by just the small pieces of data that you guys need to do what you do, right? It's crazy to me, but staying on track here, Rick, I'm going to throw that one to you too, to talk a little bit about retention in the CRM.
Yeah, just to touch, back to what Wes was saying, we really are in a great time. I mean, if I was a loan officer way back in the day, and if I could, go back in my time machine and do it all over again, I would, and be a loan officer now. I would much rather be a loan officer today, with all the tools that are out there, and especially with what Adwerx does, it's so powerful, and it's something that not a lot of people know. It's there's a building awareness going on with what Adwerx does, and the people that are using it, utilizing it, understanding the power of digital marketing outside the platform and online advertising. It really does help give loan officers an edge. And again, just kind of going back to the better together story, as it relates to retention, inside the platform, we help lenders drive retention. It's the core of our offering. I mean, the company Surefire was built on retention. So not a lot of people are aware of this, but Surefire was founded 18 years ago by a gentleman who couldn't remember the name of his original loan officer who did his loan. And he's thinking, there's got to be a better way for helping loan officers stay top of mind with borrowers. And so that's how Surefire was born, was based on Mark's ability to remember going back to the loan officer, right? So so we have a lot of different ways to stay top of mind with your past borrowers inside the database. But the key is, making it timely, relevant, personalized, and humanized, making the automation personalized and humanized in a way that, people are going to respond well to it. So, we do have a retention workflow that creates long-term relationships. We've all heard the term client for life. We certainly have that inside the platform, where you can, create automated messaging that goes out for 5 years after a loan close. And that's going to help you stay in front and on the radar of past borrowers. And the retention rates dramatically increase when the loan officers are taking advantage of our retention workflow inside the platform. So retention is everything. It's super important. But when you utilize retention inside the database and tools like Adwerx outside the database, and you're using both together, that's really going to help drive volume for you.
And I think, Rick, one point I would add to that is we've talked, about a lot, cadence of workflow, targeting people on social media with a phone number. The beauty of Surefire and Adwerx is it's really easy. And I know we probably can't convince everyone of that sitting on this phone call here, but you're talking, a few minutes of your time to wind up closing a whole lot more loans over the next 5 years. It's really, it's not hard. And, sometimes you got to trust the technology you partner with to keep in front of your database. The reality is in 2021, the technology is, to Rick's point about it being today, it's a lot better than we can ever be as humans. And it can personalize it and feel very humanized with just a small bit of your time.
Yeah, it just goes back to the theme of, sending the right message to the right person at the right time. And when you set up an automated workflow, especially a retention workflow inside the platform, it's based on best practice, right? So that workflow, once it kicks in, it knows the right cadence. It knows who to send it to, what to send them, so that messaging is timely and relevant. That's the power of the automation.
The last question here, and we've talked about a lot already, but I do want to hit one more thing. And I got my multi-channel hat on. Talk to me a little bit about, and I'll start with you here, Wes, various channels and delivery methods marketers can use to reach their audiences. And we've talked a lot about this, and more importantly, build relationships with them. You've mentioned to me before, display, CTV, but share with me, or I guess share with us here, some of the avenues they can go through Adwerx. Then Rick, I'll have you answer the same thing.
Sure. So, and I'll try and address the question here on a little more of what Adwerx does. So, what we do is we get digital advertisements, social media advertisements, and streaming TV or CTV. So that's on a full format television with a few clicks. I mean, 4 to 5. You can have creative with motion, your headshot, NMLS number. We work with partners to do this, created. And so we are able to target based on, to this question that just came in, location and some behavior. However, to the conversation we've been having, people like to do that. I will tell you more people do that. The smartest people use their database. The ROI is actually higher in the database you have than going out and farming an area. So yes, with Adwerx, you can target a quarter-mile radius, a zip code, a 15-mile radius. But what we highly recommend is starting with your database. And so we can take that database, and again, everywhere from ESPN to the New York Times to Hulu, we can get you LinkedIn. We can get you, truly your face, your information in front of those individuals. And I know there's, some of the more specific details on targeting and what the ads look like. I think probably would be better shared after this. But know that we can get you everywhere, and maybe it's a little creepy cool. I'll share the little inside trick. All the websites asking for your phone number for recovery purposes, they're using it to target you with ads. So it's pretty easy, again, from a little bit of information to get you all across the web and to stay top of mind.
And Rick, to you, let's think about this inside the database. Same question.
Yeah, so we have several different ways of reaching an audience through various channels. We tend to push things through what we call an omnichannel approach, right? So there's this theme going on called omnichannel marketing that's continuing to rise throughout lending. And it's again, just a great time to be able to engage across many different channels with your prospects and your borrowers, and you can do that right inside the database. So, so how do you do that, right? So that's through text, email, video, phone, social, print. These are all channels that you can activate inside the Surefire platform to be able to reach borrowers where they're at, right? So, when Adwerx is included in that omni-channel approach, now that adds to that overall outreach, right? So now, from inside the platform, email, text, video, phone, print, all designed to give loan officers an edge for engagement, for speed to lead. But again, when Adwerx is included alongside Surefire, now it's including display advertising, streaming TV or connected TV. So it's increasing the number of channels and the outreach that loan officers, have at their disposal to really just get there and engage with the audience on their preferred channels, right? So we also have a lot of people know this and some don't. We do have the largest customizable content library in the business. We've got over 1,200 pieces of content that a loan officer can take advantage of. And it's all, most of it's dynamic in nature. It's customizable. You can customize it with you can personalize it, make it a humanized, put a humanized touch on it, and essentially send that out across, all the different channels, creating that omni-channel push. So it's essentially $1 million library that's sitting there at your disposal and that you can leverage to send out. You don't have to build out new creative from inside the platform. You obviously can leverage, creative through Adwerx, or you can leverage content through our platform as well. So it's all designed to get your brand out there, get you out in front of an audience, and get you engaging with prospects and past borrowers.
Final thoughts here, Wes, Rick. I know we have some questions on how can they get more information about Adwerx. Wes, I don't know if you want to talk about that briefly. Obviously, we're going to we'll share this out. But if there's a link, or should they visit somewhere specifically to get more information?
Yeah, sure. If you want to visit, I'll put in the chat here, but it's Adwerx, adwerx.io/Surefire. There's a form there, and we'll make sure that anyone that fills that out, we get in touch with you guys. I think, again, happy to following this, you can get me on a rabbit hole on the targeting for about 45 minutes, which I think is fair.
No, I think just any last thoughts. I mean, both shared some great content, but Wes, I'll start with you. Any final thoughts?
I think my final thoughts would be really, one, trust the technology, get your whole database into Surefire. Don't try and get it in and then segment it as you can. Rick touched on it very well. Be omni-channel. There are some really seminal case studies that have been done, which are, the more channels you use, the higher your conversion goes up, especially because you reach more people. You don't know who's filtering out your emails. You don't know who's running an ad blocker. So to have both those channels going and leveraging the content is great, and don't try and pick and choose. You don't know exactly where someone's going to be when, what content they're going to respond to. Trust the technology. Like Rick said, there's so much content for you available. Get it out there. Stay in front of your people. You will be surprised what a killer 2022 you will have if you get your whole database in there and just start staying in front of them.
Rick, final thoughts?
This session was, we're talking about building relationships, right? But the undertone was really about helping you think about advertising and getting your brand outside of the normal channels, right? So now is the time to get out in front of your audience. And, as we shift into a purchase market, the days of leads, overflowing inside your inboxes is starting to slow up a bit, right? We're all recognizing it. So the need to meet borrowers where they're at is just going to help you maintain volume, and it could help you boost lead volume. So the theme is be everywhere, right? Don't be afraid to advertise your brand, your personal brand, and get your personal brand out across multiple channels. The technology can help you do that, right? So think omni-channel marketing. Think of the content that you're sending out. Make sure it's personalized, it's educational, it's created around the prospect and the borrower. You don't want to just push information that's all about your company and how great you are. And it should be about them and be authentic. So think of the way you're communicating, make sure it's timely, relevant, trust the technology, but don't be afraid to, leverage Surefire with Adwerx to really increase your reach and get your brand out there and find additional audience sets, right? So the days of just relying on, lead ags and buying expensive third-party lead lists are they're still here and they're still relevant and they're very relevant. But at the same time, you got to start thinking about ways to leverage your database, hone in on and understand that the data that you have in there is first-party data gold, and just start thinking of how you can get out in front of leverage your partners, your technology partners, your advertising partners, and build relationships with your referral partners as well. So education, building referrals, building relationships, leveraging your database, it's all going to be important as we go into 2022.
Perfect. Well, again, Wes, thank you so much for joining. Rick, I appreciate you jumping in here as well. And thanks for everyone for joining our session here today. I thought it was super informative, super educational. And again, if you have questions regarding Adwerx, feel free to hop on over there. Please see our partner page on our website too. The connection between us and Adwerx is pretty simple. Once you get two up and running, we'll push data to them very quickly, so it can be turnkey ready. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and thanks again for joining us. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Thanks, guys.